Please start the school song. 1, 2, 3, start. Please be seated. 1,60,000 air warriors serving the nation. 1,645 aircrafts with all types, bombers, attackers, transport, trainers, recognizers, Hawk, airborne early warning control system, UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, helicopters. What one? There are 2 newly feathers added in the crown of Indian Air Force, Rafale and Horse Raiders in the line of production. Most respected officers, esteemed colleagues, dear cadets, good morning all. It gives me immense pleasure to stand in front of you, Rectangular Sheikh Dr. P.V.G. Lodge Auditorium in this cool morning. I would like to welcome you all to celebrate 89th Indian Air Force Day. It's my proud privilege to wish you all Happy Indian Air Force Day. I take this opportunity to extend my warm greetings to the Air Warriors, Men in Blues of Indian Air Force and their families from the rank of Airman to Chief of the Air Staff. Beyond of India's Psycho fraternity, I wish them Happy Indian Air Force Day. I request everyone, please raise for the Air Force song. I invite that Arvind and team to honor and greet our beloved officers with a token of love and reverence on the occasion of Indian Air Force Day. Now I call upon the Indian Air Force presentation team to take over the stage.
Okay, sir. May we have your permission to start the presentation? Okay, sir.
Yes, this is the IAF. Touch the sky with glory. Honorable officers, our teachers, and all my dear fellow psychologists, a very good morning to you all. I wish you all a happy Air Force Day. On this auspicious day, I, along with my team, will be presenting you all about history, organization, wars and operations, and recent developments in Indian Air Force. So, I request you all to pay attention in the next few minutes, because these few minutes will change your perception about Indian Air Force. History of Indian Air Force. The Indian Air Force was established on 8th of October 1932 in British India as an auxiliary air force of the Royal Air Force. The enactment of the Indian Air Force Act 1932 stipulated on their auxiliary status and enforced the adoption of Royal Air Force uniforms, badges, berets and insignia. On 1st of April 1933, the Indian Air Force commissioned its first squadron, number 1 squadron, with 4 Westland Wapiti biplanes and 5 Indian pilots. The Indian pilots were led by British IAF commanding officer, Flight Lieutenant Cecil Bossier. World War II. During World War II, the IAF played an instrumental role in halting the advance of Japanese army in Burma, where the first IAF airstrike was executed. The target for this first mission was Japanese military base in Arakan, after which IAF airstrikes continued against the Japanese air bases at Mae Hong Son, Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai in northern Thailand. The IAF was mainly involved in strike, close air support, aerial reconnaissance, bomber escort and pathfinding missions for RAF and USAAF heavy bombers. RAF and IAF pilots were trained by flying with the non-native air wings to gain combat experience and communication proficiency. Besides operations in Burma theatre, IAF participants participated in air operations in North Africa and Europe. In addition to the IAF, many native Indians and some 200 Indian residents in Britain volunteered to join RAF and Women's Auxiliary Air Force. One such volunteer was Sergeant Sailendra Eknath Sukanta, who served as a navigator with number 83 Squadron. Sukanta was commissioned as an officer and on 14 September 1943 received the DFC, Distinguished Flying Cross. Squadron leader Sukanta eventually volunteered and completed 45 operations, 14 of them on board RF Museum's Avro Lancaster R5868. Another volunteer was Assistant Section Officer Noor Inayat Khan, a Muslim pacifist and Indian nationalist, who joined the WAAF in November 1940 in France. Noor Inayat Khan served bravely as a secret agent with SEO, Special Operations Executive, in France, but was eventually betrayed and captured. Many of these Indian airmen were seconded or transferred to expanding IAF, such as Squadron Leader Mohinder Singh Puji, DSC, who led number 4 Squadron IAF in Burma. During the war, the IAF experienced a phase of steady expansion. New aircraft added to the fleet included the US-built Vultee Vengeance, Douglas Dakota, the British Hawker Hurricane, Superman Spitfire, and Westland Lysander. In recognition of the valiant service by the AAF, King George VI conferred the prefix Royal in 1945. Thereafter, the IAF was referred to as Royal Indian Air Force, RIAF. In 1950, when India became a republic, the prefix was dropped and it reverted back to Indian Air Force, IAF. First years of independence. After it became independent from British Empire, in 1947, British India was partitioned into new states of Dominion of India and Dominion of Pakistan. Along the lines of geographical partition, the assets of Air Force were divided between the new countries. India's Air Force retained the name of RIAF, but 3 out of 10 operational squadrons and facilities located within the borders of Pakistan were transferred to RPAF. The RIAF roundel was changed to an interim chakra, derived from the Ashok Chakra. Around the same time, conflict broke out between them over the control of princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. With Pakistani forces moving into the state, its Maharaja decided to accede to India in order to receive military help. The day after the instrument of accession was signed, the RIF was called upon to transport troops into the war zone. And this was when a good management of logistics came into help. This led to eruption of full-scale war between India and Pakistan. Though there was no formal declaration of war, during the war, the RIF did not engage the Pakistan Air Force in air-to-air combat. However, it did provide effective transport and close air support to the Indian troops. When India became a republic in 1950, the Prefix Royal was dropped from the Indian Air Force. At the same time, the current IAF roundel was adopted. Air Marshal Subrata Mukherjee, OBE, was the first Indian Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Air Force. His career spanned almost 3 decades and had been awarded with many honors until his untimely demise in 1960. He has been called the father of Indian Air Force. Master of the Indian Air Force, Ajay Singh, DFC, was a senior officer of the Indian Air Force. Served as the 3rd Chief from 1964 to 1969, leading the Air Force to Indo-Pak War of 1965. He was the first and the only Air Force officer to be promoted to 5-star rank of Marshal of the Indian Air Force, equivalent to Army rank of Field Marshal.
Organization of Indian Air Force. The President is the Supreme Commander of all the Indian Armed Forces and by virtue of the fact is the National Commander-in-Chief. The Chief of Air Staff is with the rank of Air Chief Marshal and presently the Chief of Air Staff is Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, PVSM, AVSM, VM. From the 1950s, the IAF has been upgrading its hardware and maintaining its impressive force best in the world. Commands of the Indian Air Force. The IAF is divided into 5 operational and 2 functional commands. Each command is headed by an Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief with the rank of Air Marshal. The purpose of an operational command is to conduct military operations using aircraft within its area of responsibility, whereas the responsibility of functional command is to maintain combat readiness. Aside from the training command Bangalore, the primary flight training is done at Air Force Academy, Hyderabad, followed by operational training at various other schools. Advanced officer training for command positions is also conducted at Defense Services Staff College, DSSK. Specialized advanced flight training schools are located at Bidar and Hakimpet. Rank structure of Indian Air Force. The rank structure of the IAF is based on that of Royal Air Force. The highest rank attainable in the IAF is the Marshal of the Air Force. Marshal of the Indian Air Force. The head of the Indian Air Force is the Chief of our Air Force Staff, who holds the rank of Air Chief Marshal. Aircraft. 5 aircraft. Sukhoi 30 Mark 1, the IAF primary air superiority fighter with additional air to ground mission capability. 272 Sukhoi 30 Mark 1 have been in service as of January 2020, with 12 more on order with HAL. MiG-29, the MiG-29 known as BAS, is dedicated air superiority fighter contributed to the IAF second line of defense after Sukhoi 30 Mark 1. There are 69 MiG-29s in service, all of which have been recently upgraded to the MiG-29 UPG standard. After the decision was made in 2016 to upgrade the remaining of the 21 MiG-29s to the UPG standard. Mirage 2000. The Mirage 2000, known as Vajra in Indian service, is the primary multi-role fighter. The IAF currently operates 57 Mirage 2000s. Jaguar. The Jaguar, known as Shamsher, serves the IAF primary ground attack force. The IAF currently operates 139 Jaguars. MiG-21. The MiG-21 serves as an interceptor aircraft in the IAF. Transport aircraft. The strategic air operations, the IAF uses the Illusion 76, known as Gajaraj in the Indian service. The IAF operated 17 Illusion 76 in 2010, which are in the process of being replaced by C-17 Globe Marshals. IAF C-130Js are used by special forces for combined army and air force operations. The Antonov AN-32, known in service as the Satluj, serves as a medium transport aircraft in the IAF. The aircraft is also used in bombing roles and paratrooping operations. The IAF currently operates 105 AN-32s. The IAF also operates Embraer ECJ-135 legacy aircraft as VIP transports and passenger areas for troopers. The Hawker Siddeley HS-748 once formed the backbone of the IAF transport fleet, but are now used mainly for training and communication duties. Trainer aircraft. The HAL HPT-32 Deepak is IAF's basic flight training aircraft for cadets. The HPT-32 has been replaced by Pilatus, a Swiss aircraft. The IAF uses HAT-16 Kiran Mark I for intermediate flight training of cadets, while the HAT-16 Kiran Mark II provides advanced flight and weapons training. It is also operated by the Surya Kiran Aerobatic Team (SKAT) of the Indian Air Force. The Hawk Mark 132 serves as an advanced jet trainer in the IAF and progressively replacing Kiran Mark II. The IAF has begun the process of converting the Surya Kiran display team to Hawks. A total of 39 Hawks are in service as of July 2010. Helicopters. HAL crew serves primarily as a light utility helicopter in the Indian Air Force. In addition to transport and utility roles, newer crews are attack helicopters. The HAL Chetak is a light utility helicopter and is used primarily for training, rescue, light transport roles in the Indian Air Force. The IAF even operates A-64E Apache attack helicopters, HAL Rudra attack helicopters, and CH-47F Chinook heavy helicopters.
The major wars and operations executed by the IAF over the years are Congo Crisis, 1961, Annexation of Goa, 1961, Indo-Pak, 1965, Bangladesh Liberation War, 1971, Operation Meghdoot, 1984, Operation Pawan, 1987, Operation Boomalai, 1987, Operation Cactus, 1988, Operation Safed Sagar, 1999, Operation Rahat, 2013, Operation Maitri, 2015, Operation Sankat Mochan, 2016, Surgical Strike, 2016, Operation Insaniya, 2017, the Balakot Airstrikes, 2019. The annexation of Goa. In late 1961, the Indian government decided to attack the Portuguese colony of Goa after years of disagreement between New Delhi and Lisbon. The Indian Air Force was requested to provide support elements to the ground force in what was called the Operation Vijay. On 18 December, two waves of Canberra bombers bombed the runway of the Golden Airfield, taking care not to bomb the terminals and the ATC tower. However, the Portuguese pilots managed to take off the aircraft from the still damaged airfield and made their gateway to Portugal. The war took place from 17 to 19 December 1961. Indo-Pak. Pakistan launched Operation Jilbardar strategy of Pakistan to infiltrate Jammu and Kashmir and start rebellion against Indian rule. This came to be known as the Second Kashmir War. This was the first time the IAF actively engaged an enemy air force. However, instead of providing close air support to the Indian Army, IAF carried out independent raid against PF bases. These bases were situated deep inside Pakistani territory, making IAF fighters vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire. The small and nimble IAF Poland canards proved effective against the F-86 Sabres of the PAF, earning the nickname Sabres Slayers. Despite having been qualitatively inferior, IAF achieved air superiority in 3 days in the 1965 war. This took place between April to September 1965. Bangladesh Liberation War. The intensification of the independence movement in East Pakistan led to the Bangladesh Liberation War between India and Pakistan. 2 of the 4 PAF Sabres were shot down and 1 damaged by the IAF Poland canards. On 3rd December, India formally declared war against Pakistan following massive primitive strikes by the IAF against Indian Air Force installations in Srinagar, Ambala, Sirsa, Halwara and Jodhpur. Within the first 2 weeks, the IAF had carried out almost 12,000 sorties over East Pakistan and also provided close air support to the advancing Indian army. On the western front, the IAF destroyed more than 20 Pakistani tanks, 4 APCs, armored personnel carrier, and a supply train during the Battle of Lonavala, also known as the Bangladesh War of Independence. This took place between 26 March to 16 December 1971. Operation Meghdoot. India launched Operation Meghdoot to capture the Siachen Glacier in the contested Kashmir region. The Operation Meghdoot, IAF's Mi-8, Chetak and Cheetah helicopters airlifted hundreds of Indian troops to Siachen. This was launched on 13 April 1984. The military action was successful given the fact that under the previous agreement, neither Pakistan nor India had stationed any personnel in the area. With India's successful Operation Meghdoot, it gained control over the Siachen Glacier. Operation Meghdoot was the code name for the Indian Armed Forces. Operation Pawan. The IAF supported the Indian Peacekeeping Force IAF in northern and eastern Sri Lanka in Operation Pawan. About 70,000 sorties were flown by the IAF's transport and helicopter force in support of nearly 1 lakh troops and paramilitary forces without a single aircraft lost on mission aborted. Operation Pumalai, also known as Eagle Mission 4, was the code name assigned to a mission undertaken by the Indian Air Force for airdropping supplies over the precise town of Jaffna in Sri Lanka on 4 June 1987 to support the Tamil Tigers during the Sri Lankan Civil War. As civilian casualties grew, calls grew within India to intervene in what was increasingly seen in the India and the Tamil media as a developing humanitarian crisis, especially with reports of aerial bombardment against rebel positions in civilian area. Operation Safed Sagar. Operation Safed Sagar was a code name assigned to the Indian Air Force role in acting jointly with the Indian Army during the 1919 Kargil War that was aimed at flushing out regular and irregular troops of the Pakistani Army from vacated Indian positions in the Kargil sector along the line of control. It was the first large-scale use of air power in the Jammu and Kashmir region since the Indo-Pakistan War of 1971. Surgical strike. On 29 September 2016, India announced that it conducted surgical strikes against militant launch pads across the line of control in Pakistani-administered Kashmir and inflicted significant casualties. Indian media reported the casualty figures ranging from 35 to 70. The Balakot airstrikes. The 2019 Balakot airstrikes was conducted by India in the early morning hours of 26 February when Indian airplanes crossed the de facto border in the disputed region of Kashmir and dropped bombs in the vicinity of the town of Balakot in Pakistan.
Recent developments in Indian Air Force. The primary focus of current modernization and upgrades is to replace aircraft purchased from the Soviet Union that currently form the backbone of the Air Force. The Indian Air Force plans to attain a 42 squadron strength by 2035 and deploy 450 fighter jets each along the direction of Pakistan and China. Under procurement, HAL Tejas, a fighter aircraft. HAL has already received orders for 40 aircraft of Mark 1 variant which will deliver by 2022. On 3rd Feb 2021, Ministry of Defence signed the contract with HAL for the procurement of 83 advanced stages which includes 73 Mark 1 and 10 Mark 1 variant with advanced jammers, superior avionics, better payload and enhanced combat range. The induction of 123 Tejas Mark 1 will be completed by 2028. Dassault Rockets. On 10 April 2015, during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Paris, it was announced that India would buy 36 Dassault rockets in flyaway condition. The IAF plans to acquire 36 additional rockets by 2030. The deal was finalized in November 2015. However, it got stalled for a considerable amount of time in terms of price negotiation. Finally, the deadlock has been resolved. On 23rd September 2016, India's Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar and his French counterpart Jean-Le Drian signed a contract for the purchase of 36 Rafales in a deal worth 7.8 billion euro. The first Rafale warplanes was slated to be delivered roughly within the 3 years of the signing of the deal. The first aircraft was delivered to the IAF in 2019, July 29. HAL Light Combat Helicopters. The IAI will deploy indigenously developed HAL light combat aircraft for its combat operations complementing AH-640 Apache. After the operational certificate is granted, Index series production of 15 elements started in 2017, 5 for Army and 10 for the Air Force. The Indian Air Force has placed an order for 65 LCHS. This type is also intended to be stored upon the export market. The Hard Tejas Mark II. The Hard Tejas Mark II, or the medium weight fighter, or HAL MWF, is a planned single-engine delta-wing multi-role fighter designed by the Aeronautical Development Agency and the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. For the Indian Air Force, it is a further development of HAL Tejas or light combat aircraft program which began in 1980s to replace India's aging MiG-21 fighters. The Tejas Mark II is being designed to replace the multiple strike fighters like Dassault Mirage 2000 and MiG-29 of the Indian Air Force. It has a tailless compound delta wing configuration with a single stabilizer with closed couple canards to provide static instability, and is equipped with fly-by-wire systems to control instability. Now, that's all about the IAF. But more for our newly inducted girls of Sainik School Course. Here we go.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen so I can't believe. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I'll make mistakes, but mistakes make them strong. Take it back from you, the crown I'll give. Give me my hand, catch how to see what you grin. I say it proud, man, I'll make a song. Silence all that is as I see us making moves. What I want, so I gotta pay the proof. Staying motivated, teaching others what to do. I'm staying focused, my mind is open. It's up to notice that I'm in motion. There is no motion, you're not just chosen. It takes devotion to stay composed, man. Never stop, every long time to fall. Try to live every long, do not want back to fall. I can live that is strong, cause you gotta want it all. You find it all.
I hope you have got an idea of Indian Air Force. Thank you.
I request our beloved principal sir, please address the table.
Good morning, officers, teachers, staff, and dear cadets present here. Firstly, my best wishes to everyone, especially Wing Commander Keswan, Dr. Jayaprakash, and all the cadets who are in the Air Force Wing. Best wishes on the 89th Indian Air Force Day. After seeing this presentation, the first thought which came to me was, when I was young, why that thought didn't come to my mind of joining the Indian Air Force. But I would like to firstly congratulate the entire team here for such a beautiful presentation. This was something I was looking for a very long time. The way the special assembly on this occasion was conducted, the selection of videos, the way the PowerPoint presentation was made, and the excellent preparation of all the cadets and delivery in a most formal manner, the way it should be there in a Sainik school. So my congratulations to the entire team for doing such a great assembly. When we talk of Indian Air Force, we remember two names first. Is the Field Marshal Arjun Singh, whose contribution was seen during the 1965 war, and after that he rose to the rank of Air Marshal. And secondly, I remember Flying Officer Nirmaljeet Sekho, whose gallantry in the 1971 war is well documented, and how within a short span of 17 days we got our victory in Bangladesh. Recently we had celebrated the Swarnim Vijay Varsh also. I am sure after this presentation, all the kids, especially class 12 cadets are here, would be motivated to choose Air Force as their first choice. When you put your choices when you apply for the UPSC for the NDA exam. Of course, Air Force is the most adventurous arm which anyone would like to join, and with the present Vice Principal and the previous Vice Principal, both from Air Force, and their interaction with the boys, I have seen the children, the cadets, first choice is the Air Force. Only a small caution here, which we have seen, since Air Force is the most demanding, their physical standards, their medical standards are very high. So we have been telling the cadets, in case you feel something, it is better to get a medical done before than getting missed out in the Air Force boards. I like the last part, especially where we covered the girl cadets also. The girls sitting here, especially in class 12, are very fortunate ones that although for girls the sky was not the limit, because the entry for the girl cadets had started earlier, but now with introduction of National Defence Academy, all I can say is you can touch the sky earlier. So I wish the girl cadets in the school fill the NDA form, prepare for it well, and get selected. On this occasion, I once again congratulate everyone and give my best wishes for the 89th Indian Air Force Day, and I wish more and more cadets from the school do well in their UPSC and SSBs, join the National Defence Academy with their first choice as Indian Air Force. Thank you very much, Jai Hind.
Now I would like to call our school cadet cultural captain to propose vote of thanks.
Good morning to all. I, Cadet M. Shriram, cultural captain, is here along with my team to extend my thanks to the quartermaster section in the computer science department for helping us in successful conduct of the event. I also would like to thank the officers, the faculties and the cadets who attended today's Air Force Day program. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. K. Jayaprakash, ANO Air Wing, for motivating, guiding and hand-holding us for everything that we have seen presented today. Ladies and gentlemen, I would request you to rise for the Indian National Anthem. One.